And I just want to verify that everybody sees the essential oil safety Lily's her front page. Give me a thumbs up if that's what you're seeing. Thank you, Cheryl.
All right. Do you want to give a preamble about Cancer Support Community, Darlene?
Sure. Welcome to Cancer Support Community, Central Ohio's Natural Living Workshop. We're very appreciative of Lily volunteering her time for our Natural Living Workshop. She shares with us every month her expertise and her experience, and we are very thankful that she continues to volunteer for us. And we're very excited that today Lily's talking about essential oil safety. And I thought I knew about essential oils until I talked with Lily, and then I realized I wasn't safe. So we're very excited that she's able to give this presentation today. Welcome, Lily.
Thank you. Yeah. So when I lived in Columbus and I had a little shop, it was an herbalism shop, right? I had an apothecary with a bulk herb section and, packaged products, and I carried essential oils. And it was then that I realized that there was so much misinformation on the internet about how to use essential oils, often coming from these companies themselves, that I needed to educate people who were coming into the store and buying them, making sure that they were safe. I started this class. I have an online class, which is far more detailed about essential oil safety, because I don't want people to hurt themselves. Anything that's powerful enough to heal you is also powerful enough to harm you. So this class was born out of my experience selling essential oils in person and realizing people did not have the right information about them. So I'm an herbalist. So I was trained in all forms of botanical medicine when I lived in California. I do workshops like this. I do intensives. I train the next generation of herbalists. My favorite thing to do is to do make and takes, where everybody gets together and makes something fun and gets to take it home. I also am a wellness coach, and I do clinical consultations, and I formulate for Haven Herbs, which, make sure that I have the time to do these every month. So essential oils. A lot of people think that they're actually oils. They are not. We call them essential oils because they feel oily and slippery, but they are actually not lipids, not true lipids. And they are kind of the essence that comes out of the plant when you crack open the cell walls and extract some of the phytochemicals. And depending on the process that you use to get those phytochemicals, only a percentage of them come out. It's not like when you extract in an herbal way, like a tincture, for example. A tincture is an alcohol and water extract of plants. Only a narrow band of phytochemicals actually is in the essential oils. And because it takes hundreds of pounds of plant material to make those little bottles, you're getting a highly concentrated dose of phytochemicals that you wouldn't normally receive in nature. Very concentrated. They're the life force of the plant. And there's different ways to make them. The most common one currently is steam distillation, where they literally use steam to crack open the plant cell walls. And then, everything sweats out. And then they use a centrifuge to kind of separate the essential oil from the hydrosol, all of which comes from inside the plant. There's also carbon dioxide extracts, which actually get a few more constituents out than steam distillation, and that's the more modern version of extraction. But not all companies are using CO2 to extract, but some of the more delicate botanicals actually really are benefited by CO2. So often you'll see a vanilla bean CO2 extract, or jasmine flowers, which are very fragile and hard to steam distill and get good results from. There's also solvent extraction. This is cheap. The solvents are like hexane and things like that. And there's always a residue of those solvents in the essential oil itself. And so solvent extraction essential oils are often used in perfumery, but you want to make sure who is selling the essential oils and how they extract, because you don't want to use those for therapeutic use. Enfleurage is the first way that we ever got essential oils, and it's still used in the perfume industry, where they pack a bunch of usually flowers, roses or jasmine or whatever, in animal fat, and it extracts that way. And then they use those lipids that have floral extractions in them to help make perfume. A calapique is a really nasty looking machine. It's like rollers with huge spikes that kind of interlock, and that's how they get citrus essential oils cheaply. Now, good essential oil companies will do steam distillation of citrus peel, but the cheapest way is a calapique, where they just throw in a bunch of, meh kind of citrus that they can't sell for food, and it squishes and pokes them, and then they do centrifuge to separate the juice and everything else, the solids, from the essential oils. And the thing about citrus is that they're just rife with essential oils. When you peel away from your fruit, you see the essential oils going up into the air and the scent and everything. It is a very cheap way of making them, but unfortunately, when we get into phototoxicity, I'll explain why it's not the best way to buy your citrus oils. So again, knowing the method of manufacture of any essential oils you buy is critical. An auto and an absolute. So you'll often see these things, and a lot of people who are new to it think that they're interchangeable, and they are not. They refer to different solvent extractions. So an absolute is a solvent extracted essential oil, and auto is not. And so if you are looking for therapeutic rose, you're going to want to get a rose auto, not a rose absolute. Now, absolutes and autos are very expensive because the plants that are usually made in these methods are very hard to get successful essential oils from. They're more delicate, so they have to use specialized equipment, which is why they're called something different. But again, for therapeutic use, an auto is better than an absolute. So the ingredients, the quality of the ingredients, plus the method of manufacture determines the quality of your product. So really doing some research and knowing what brand you're using, and how they make them, and how they source. Do they grow their own botanicals? Do they know the farms that they get it from? Are they just buying them from big distributors and sending them to a factory? Like, it's good to know that stuff and ask those questions. Finding a good brand. Now, there are companies out there that really have like fanatical followings, and most of them are multi-level marketing companies, right? You see people who get really passionate about essential oils and healing, and they get into selling it, and then they have a downline and an upline, and it's all crazy. But really, I don't care about any of that. I care about the products, right? Like, what are you using? And so when you are looking for a good brand, there are some criteria that are baseline for me. Number one, the labeling is clear. The label should not only say the common name of the botanical, but the botanical name. It also should tell you what part of that plant was used, because there is a difference between clove leaf and clove bud. What constituents are in those are very different. And there are other examples of that too. Are they using true cinnamon, or are they using cassia? Right? People use the word cinnamon, and they often are extracting cassia, which is not true cinnamon, right? So they also don't claim that essential oils are good for everything, right? Like, there are these companies, I'm sure you've seen them online, like, oh, there's an oil for that, is the thing that I hear, right? Essential oils are not good for everything, because nothing is good for everything. As an herbalist, like, I'm not going to recommend one type of product, like, you must have a salve. There's a salve for that. No, right? Like, salves have their place, tinctures have their place, teas have their place, essential oils have their place, right? Like, there is There are different ways that you use these products. They also don't claim that essential oils are natural and therefore harmless. Because as I said in the beginning of this, if it can heal you, it can harm you. And it's all about how you use that product and knowing about the product. Otherwise, you could overdose yourself very easily, because this is a product that is measured in drops, right? It's a concentrated product. They also offer safety information very transparently on their website through their salespeople, if they have salespeople, and on the packaging. You need to know, is this essential oil safe for children under 6? Is this essential oil safe for people who are immune compromised? Is this essential oil, something that you need to use in microdoses because it's considered hot? All of those things are important, right? Especially when you are using tiny little drops. Also, do not go with a company that invents their own certification and new ways of taking oils that aren't safe. There are a couple companies out there. There's one that has we're the only brand that is certified therapeutic food grade. There is no such thing as certified therapeutic food grade. It is a marketing term. There is no objective outside entity in the United States that certifies essential oils at all, right? So this is a marketing ploy to deceive people. And honestly, I don't want to buy from a company that actively deceives people. The same company has invented ways of taking oils that aren't safe. The main way that I'm going to talk to you about unsafe taking is taking essential oils by mouth, putting them in your food, taking capsules, putting them in your drinking water. Ingesting essential oils is not safe. I will say it again. Ingesting essential oils is not safe. They are corrosive. The entire digestive tract is mucous membrane. You can easily scar and burn that mucous membrane with such a corrosive material. Do not ingest essential oils. And a good company that has a good brand can tell you where their plants, not just the oils, came from. There are many companies out there that all they do is send an essential oil factory like a range of what phytochemicals they want, and then that factory blends essential oils from all over the planet to hit those marks, and then they bottle it. They have no relationship to their farmers or the plants themselves. They have no idea what those plants look like or the condition that they're in, and they're not single source, right? One of my favorite unique essential oil companies actually has mobile equipment and goes out to the field that they have determined they're going to make an essential oil from, and they do it on the spot, and they get to see the plants as they're being harvested, and they do single source oils. Their label not only says the botanical name, but also where it was harvested. I think that's fantastic. It's one of the few companies on the planet that does that. How to store essential oils safely. So they come in those brown bottles for a reason. You want to keep them away from direct light. You also want to keep them out of temperature fluctuations, extreme heat or cold or varying temperatures. So, having them in a linen closet is always good. I would not necessarily keep them in the bathroom because the bathroom gets hot and cold and steamy. But essential oils can last 5 to 10 years if you store them safely. And hopefully that mitigates some of the cost because they are precious, right? Like you get this little 30 milliliter or 1 ounce bottle. Sometimes depending on the botanical that it is, sometimes you're spending $50 on that little tiny bottle. So we want to make sure that we protect our investment. So keep them out of temperature fluctuations, keep them in that original bottle. They are so concentrated, so only a tiny amount is needed. So you really, want to protect your investment because several years down the road, you'll be able to use it again. The only exception to the storage rule is citrus oils, which you will see a reduction in their potency and their smelliness after a year or two. So you definitely want to replace those. Store in a temperature controlled place out of direct light. Keep them capped, because even though they're not true oils, they can still evaporate just like any liquefied matter. So keep the caps on. So how do essential oils work? The reason that people have been fooled into thinking that ingestion, taking them by mouth, is the best way to take them is because they don't understand how essential oils work. Once you know, you can never be fooled again. So essential oils work by entering the bloodstream. And the two safe methods to get them into your bloodstream are inhalation and topical application. So aromatherapy, the term was coined because originally the only idea was for you to inhale them through an inhaler, a nebulizer, a diffuser, or sniffing them right out of the bottle. And we're going to talk a little bit about diffusers, because that's like, a piece of equipment that you're investing in. So you want to pick the right one. But inhalation is the primary method of getting the essential oils in the bloodstream. Topical application also works, but you need to make sure that when you're applying essential oils to your skin, that they are diluted properly. You cannot apply undiluted oils to your skin without the potential of overdosing. So we're going to talk about proper dilution techniques and solvents so that you know. And the dilution strength depends on what you're trying to treat, who you're trying to treat, and how much of their skin you're going to apply it to. I know it sounds complicated, but I promise I'll try and make it as simple as possible. And I also have a book that I'm going to be sending your way. I'm going to email Darlene this slideshow as well as my book, and she's going to send it out to you all. And there is a chart in there that talks about dilution strengths. So here I am telling you not to ingest again. If it's one thing I want you to take away, it's please do not take essential oils by mouth. There have been so many recorded cases of people being harmed. So it is not safe to do so. And if you look at this, 1 drop of peppermint essential oil is the equivalent of 28 cups of peppermint tea, right? Like, who drinks 28 cups of peppermint tea? That would make you queasy, even though it's supposed to calm your tummy, right? Like, it's not good for you. The amount of phytochemicals that are concentrated in that little bottle is pretty outrageous. And it does have its place. Essential oils are what we call remedies, not tonics. A tonic is something that you take on the regular to stay well, and you can take larger amounts of it. Like peppermint would be fine, especially if you were running hot, or maybe had stomach issues, or maybe memory issues. Peppermint's good for all those things. You could drink peppermint tea as a tonic, but essential oils are a remedy, which means that you take them situationally for acute circumstances. You don't take them every day. I know that these companies who want to sell you more and more and more talk about how every day you could take your essential oils and stay well. That is not what they are. They are not wellness products. They are products to help you treat acute situations like a bee sting or a headache, or maybe severe sinus congestion. They are remedies. And I use them. I'm not trying to steer anyone away from essential oils. What I'm trying to do is make sure you know how to use them properly so that they serve you and don't harm you. So dilution. We're going to talk about topical application and dilution now. And again, the book that we're sending you has a dilution chart. And it goes over this, but in a sort of grid way. And I'm very visual, so I like that, like I can kind of look for the right percentage. So neat. A lot of essential oil companies have sort of co-opted cocktail language. Like, when you have a whiskey neat, it's like whiskey and nothing else, not even an ice cube. It's never really necessary to use essential oils neat or undiluted. And it depends on who you're treating and what you're treating, and also how much of the skin you're covering to determine what percentage. So let's start with the most common way a lot of people get essential oils is in a body care product, right? So maybe in their lotion, their body lotion, and they're, you know, putting it on their hands and their arms and maybe their legs. You only want 2% in your lotion. And that is for large swaths of skin for most adults in most situations. And I say most adults because some adults are immune compromised or elderly. And what you want then is less, right? But for, you know, most of our adult lives, 2% in a body care product is perfectly fine. And, you know, 2% is a teaspoon of oil with 2 drops of essential oil in it. It's a small amount, but it is enough to make a scent. And it is enough to have therapeutic effect. I will say that as Americans, we have been exposed to so much fragrance, both synthetic and natural, that often when we encounter something that has a potent amount of fragrance in it, we don't think it's smelly enough because we've kind of overexposed ourselves to all the smells. I can't even walk through the mall without holding my nose walking past like the candle place or the body care place, because the fragrance just wafts out and I'm like, oh my gosh, gives me a headache. So 1%, if you are treating someone who's a child over the age of 6, or you're treating an elderly person or a pregnant person or someone with extremely sensitive skin or someone with a compromised immune system, someone who's chronically ill, you're going to want to back that percentage off from 2% to 1% in their body care. Also, if you are doing like the whole body on a healthy adult, you're going to want to back it up to 1%. Like if you're a massage therapist and you're going to use essential oils in your massage oil and you're going to do a full body massage, you're going to back that off to 1%. Still very therapeutically potent, but not stinky. You are also going to back that off again in half for children under the age of 2. But honestly, I don't ever recommend essential oils for children under the age of 6. I say use herbs or hydrosols, which are also manufactured when you make essential oils, but they have less concentrations in them than the oil bottle. But you're going to want to go to 0.5% for those populations. And then if you've got a temporary acute issue where you're spot treating, like a bee sting, and you know, you got your little goose egg bee sting, right? Then you're going to go anywhere from 3 to 25%. And I know that that's a huge range. And I will tell you, less is more. You do not have to bring out the big guns right away, right? If you have a headache or a pimple or, you know, any number of things that we encounter in our lives, I use about 5% for those situations. I make ready to use roll-ons for Haven, and none of my formulas go beyond 5%. I never use 25%. That's an outrageous amount. In my lotions, I use 2%, right? Just for moisture. You know, I'm using the essential oils for scent. They obviously have some therapeutic effects, but I, you know, don't market them that way. But 5% is what I use for my acute situation things, my headache roll-on, my spot begone roll-on, my anxiety roll-on. It's only 5%. And that's really all you need. People tell me that they work really well, that they are effective. And the science bears that out. Now, the other thing to know is that you cannot dilute essential oils in water. They don't dilute. Another reason why they're called essential oils is because they behave like lipids. So you notice, like when you make a salad dressing, the vinegar and the oil stay separate unless you shake it up really good and temporarily emulsify it. Well, that's the same with essential oils in water. And so what you're doing is by putting them in your bath or putting them in your drinking water, they bead And then you just get this concentrated drop of being applied to your skin or down your throat, and it harms you. It's corrosive. You're not getting it diluted properly. So what does dilute essential oils? Two things. Actual oil, they dilute in olive oil or almond oil or whatever, or alcohol. The higher proof, the better. And I use alcohol when I'm trying to dilute essential oils so that they can go into a liquid. For example, I make bug spray, right? And I decoct a whole bunch of herbs. So I've got this big potent extract in water of herbs. And then I take an essential oil blend and I put it in alcohol and I shake it up so that it's all uniform. And then I add that alcohol to the decoction, which not only preserves that decoction, but also adds all those essential oils to the formula. And then it comes out of the pump and you don't have to constantly shake it. Like if I had put it in oil and water, they would stay separate and you'd have to constantly shake it. And eventually the oil would gum up the sprayer and stuff. So that's an example of using alcohol. You can also use an essential oil blend in alcohol when you're putting it in a bath or a pedicure basin. That's the way to do it. If your pedicurist is like, oh, would you like some essential oils in your water? Tell them that they need to dilute it in alcohol first, because otherwise you've just got these little potent beads of essential oils moving on that water and burning your skin potentially. And if you have sensitive skin or you're immune compromised, you just don't want that strength being exposed to you in like one concentrated area. Any questions about dilution so far? I know that that's a lot. And again, you will get a chart, but I'm happy to answer any questions about that. All right, let's move on. So other safety issues to think about in terms of how you use them. If you have animals in your home, using essential oils, the way that you use them will be different. So I have a cat. I do not diffuse essential oils in my home, because diffusion, what that does is it takes the oil and it pushes it out into the air, and it's in the air and it smells lovely, but then it has to land somewhere, right? Cats clean themselves by licking themselves. So eventually your cat is going to get essential oils on them just by being in the home, and they will lick it off. It's very toxic to cats. First of all, cats are true carnivores and they don't have any enzymes to break down plant material. If you see them eating grass, they're about to puke, right? They do it to throw up and clean out their digestive tract. They don't actually eat grass. So they don't have the enzymes to do it. So these things are very hepatotoxic. They're highly concentrated, and it's just not good for kitty. So if you have a cat in your home, do not diffuse. Also, if you have any reptiles or birds in your home, do not diffuse. If you have just a dog or a fish that has a lid on their thing, then feel free to diffuse. You can also keep the diffuser where you need it most. For example, when before we had a cat and my kid was having night terrors, which I guess is common among 4-year-old boys. I had no idea. But he would wake up screaming and he wouldn't even remember what he was dreaming about. But I felt bad for him because it was happening all the time. And I felt bad for me because I was waking up in terror myself to a screaming child. So I got a little diffuser and I kept it in his bedroom. And I bought a blend that specifically works to keep children asleep and also like calm and whatnot. The brand that I used has a kid safe line, Plant Therapy. I'm going to recommend a couple different brands to you, none of which pay me, by the way. Plant Therapy is a US company. They worked with Robert T. Saran, who is the world's foremost authority on essential oils and safety. In fact, do I have it? Yes, I do. This is his book, Essential Oil Safety. Look how thick it is. Oh my gosh. This is the textbook that you learn from if you go to like AromaHead, which is where you learn to be an aromatherapist. It is a big, heavy book. There, it just went thud on my desk. But they consulted with Robert T. Sarand on their Kid Safe line. And they have a whole line of formulas, essential oil formulas for kids, and Sweet Dreams is one of them. And it worked like a charm for my kid. They also have a formula for insomnia to help you get to sleep. So that one was to help you stay asleep and peacefully. They also have one for insomnia that helps you get to sleep. And often when I see clinical clients and they tell me that they have insomnia, I try and figure out which one. And I do recommend essential oils because it's a way of you getting dosages without you having to get up and do things and wake yourself up more by taking something. So, diffusing in your bedroom can help you have a calm environment to stay asleep and to get to sleep. Other issues are phototoxicity. And what that is certain oils, when they are on the surface of the skin that come in contact with sunlight, are phototoxic. They cause skin cancer. And obviously this group is very concerned about skin cancer. Now, all the culprits are citrus oils, and they are citrus oils specifically that are not steam distilled. They are used the Akela Pique. And the reason being is that larger molecules are included in the essential oils of Akela Pique versus steam distillation. The centrifuge makes it so that only the smaller molecules of citrus oils come out, and those larger ones just happen to be the phototoxic ones. So, going for a really cheap orange oil or lemon oil may mean that it's phototoxic. You have to find out like how they made that oil. And I never use citrus things for topical. Like I make lotions every month, and I make a different scent every month. And I have a club where people buy them and then they get a lotion sent to them fresh every month with no parabens or carcinogenic chemicals in them. And then they get to use them in the month, and the next month they get a different scent. Well, I never do citrus scents in the summer, ever, right? Not because I buy cheap citrus oils, but because I don't want to take a chance, right? Like, I am in control of what I am in control of. And while I do my research and due diligence about the companies that I buy from, what happens if, they lied to me? Or what happens if they get bought out by a big company and they change sources before I know? Or, any number of things. And so I'm just not going to make a citrus lotion in the summer. I'm just not going to do it. I do it in the winter when we're all huddled inside anyway. So phototoxicity is a safety concern. Using in mixed areas, particularly in hospitals. I remember doing a version of this for nurses at the wellness conference for the Ohio Nurses Association. And they were so excited that they had gotten permission to diffuse essential oils on their floors to help, like lavender oil, to keep their patients calm. And I was like, I hate to tell you, but you shouldn't be doing that, right? Because people are in the hospital for different reasons. And if you are in the hospital with compromised respiratory issues, you don't want to use any essential oils, at least not inhalation, because it can really trigger asthmatic attacks and things like that. So if you're going to use essential oils in the hospital setting, I taught those nurses how to make treatment sticks. You remember those, when I was a kid, they had these inhaler sticks that you'd carry around in your pocket made by Vicks, and you'd like snort it and clear out your head. Well, you can make those. Most essential oil companies sell the little plastic parts and then the little cotton cylinder that you soak in an essential oil blend, and you can make your own. So I taught them how to do it and where to get the supplies. And that way, only one person is getting the dose, and it's not invasive. It's still inhalation. And it's a way of treating people in the hospital with essential oils, if you so desire. Other safety issues are believing the MLM hype. There are so many ways that I have seen online and through salespeople that they tell you to use them unsafely or not safely. What is the word? Anyway, so I treated someone who was told by a rep from doTERRA that her vaginal yeast infection could be treated with tea tree oil. And they told her to put tea tree oil, undiluted, on a tampon and insert it. She has scarring in her vagina, right? It burned and it continued to burn even after she removed it. She was red and raw, and, you know, no one should have to suffer that way. It's terrible. Do not believe people that aren't trained aromatherapists or people trained in botanical medicine when they tell you to do something. Make sure they went to school, that they're not a sales rep, that they just heard something from a company and spread it, right? I want to make sure that all of you stay safe and healthy. So if you ever have any questions or you hear something weird and you're not sure, just email me. All my contact info will be sent to you. I am happy to answer any and all questions because I want you to stay safe. I also want to let you know that frankincense essential oil does not kill cancer cells. You may have heard this as someone who, you know, is looking high and low for help. And in the book that I give you, there will be a letter between Robert T. Saran, that expert that wrote that book that I showed you, and someone with cancer. And she heard that frankincense essential oil from a aromatherapy sales rep could, you know, help her cancer treatment along. And he wrote her a very thoughtful letter, and you can read it for yourself, but I will summarize it here for people that may be watching this video on YouTube and not getting the handout. Frankincense essential oil is first of all, essential oil is not what was studied in the lab study that those essential oil reps are quoting. First of all, the product that they were looking at was frankincense extract. It's an herbal preparation, not an essential oil. So first of all, two different products. Second of all, they found that frankincense extract was protective of cells. Absolutely. It helps maintain cell integrity. But what Robert T. Saran stressed to her was that it protects all cells, including cancer cells. So if you are actively doing a treatment to target cells that you want to die, do not use frankincense essential oil. Do not use frankincense extract. You want to wait until there is no sign of cancer, and then you can use something like that. But it just enrages me that there are people out there preying on others' vulnerabilities and you know, desires to find something to help them. So I will tell you, the two companies that I really dislike and do not recommend to anyone because they invent fake certifications, they tell you to use them unsafely, and they don't have enough safety information on their packaging or their website, are doTERRA and Young Living. And those may be the only essential oils that you've heard of because they have sales reps everywhere. The way that they sell is through sales reps. So they have a lot of people evangelizing the products, and they spend their time, you know, making memes, and all of these sales reps have blogs and they put it on the internet and Facebook and all this, and it's everywhere, right? The companies that I do recommend are Plant Therapy. They're a US company, and you will find that their prices are so much lower than doTERRA and Young Living, not because they're lower quality at all. It's because there isn't that huge sales downline, because you're not paying 50 people in addition to buying the oil, you're just buying the oil. So I love Plant Therapy. The one that I recommended that was like for unique, really interesting oils that are single origin and packaged on site, That's called Oshadi. They're a German company, Oshadhi, Oshadi. I also like Tisserand, which is a brand out of England named after Robert Tisserand. And what else? Oh, Floracopia. They're also a US company, and they specialize in really exotic oils from a sustainable place. So all of the ones that I mentioned, make sure that they harvest in a sustainable way. doTERRA and Young Living have been fined multiple times for violating the Endangered Species Act on sandalwood, on frankincense, on all kinds of things. And they're contributing to a loss of these valuable, wonderful plants. So I do not recommend them, but I do recommend those others. And those brands, I believe, are in the book as well.
Yeah, that was going to be my question, Lily, is the handouts or the book that you're going to be sending us has those listed, because I was trying to write them down phonetically and I figured that's not how you spell them. We do have a question in the, yeah, we have a question in the chat. The question is, what about Eden Garden?
So I know a little bit about them. I believe, unless I'm getting them mixed up with another company. I don't know about their quality. I do know that they do use salespeople, so I'm a little concerned. But what I would do is there is a blog out there by an aromatherapist, and this is also in the book. And her old website was learningabouteos.com, and I think it forwards to whatever her new domain is. I'll have to look it up, but she has done third-party testing where she has randomly acquired like peppermint oil from 10 different companies, and she sends them away for analysis. And she publishes those results. So what I would do is, she's done multiple kinds of botanicals for these. I know she's done tea tree. I know she's done mint. I know she's done myrrh. And I can't remember some of the others, but she's done them on a bunch. And I would look, because sometimes the cheap one that you see at the Whole Foods just on the counter is actually a decent brand, right? Or Acacia is a brand that is produced by Frontier Co-op, which has a dedication to sustainability. And so I know that the botanicals that they use are good, and all of them are organic. So there's another brand for you. And they're usually on the shelves of places like Whole Foods or like a health food place. So yeah, there's a lot of essential oil companies out there. Unfortunately, I don't know them all, but I would check out some third-party testing blogs, and I would definitely, if you have some in your home, which I'm assuming you do, if you've named that, see about getting another brand and doing a side-by-side comparison of the same botanical. Does it smell the same? Does it smell as potent? When you use it, how does it feel? You know, like when you've diluted it and you put it on your skin, like do some comparisons. Far too few people actually do that. And they just rely on marketing to tell them which one to buy. All right. So here's how you get a hold of me. I have 2 emails, holler@lilykunning.com and lily@havenherbs.com. Haven Herbs is the apothecary that I formulate for. And those are the websites, lilykunning.com and havenherbs.com. You can always look to see what classes I'm teaching. I do in-person and online classes. I have a series called Ask the Herbalist, where it's a 1-hour free-for-all. And people can ask me any questions they like. So those are all listed on there, as well as classes and whatnot. Happy to help you with any kind of questions you have. And I do clinical consultations as well, and wellness coaching. So yeah, we've still got some time. I guess I went through that pretty quickly. Do people have, oh, you know what? I didn't go through diffusers. There, that's what I'm going to spend my last 15 minutes on. So diffusion is the way for you to breathe in essential oils. And there are three main types of diffusers. So the cheapest one, and the one that's sort of ubiquitous, is heat. So they plug in usually, and you have like a little pad or maybe a well of water that you, put the essential oil on, and it heats up and it disperses it throughout the environment. They also use them in cars this way, right? Like you attach it to your little vent and it kind of spews the essential oils. Heat is cheap. It's ubiquitous, but the one thing I would say is that once the pad becomes browned and discolored, you need to replace it because you've changed the chemical composition of your oil by heating it, right? So we know that when you apply freezing or heat to a chemical compound, it changes the compound. So it's no longer exactly what you were hoping to get out of it if you continue to use the burnt pad. So you have to change those pads. The second way to disperse essential oils into the air is vaporization. And you've probably seen these, like if you go to Whole Foods or whatever and you're in their wellness department, they've got like the little mist volcano going that has the essential oils going. That's vaporization. And what that does is they take cool water and they run it through and push it out. And so that mist contains fine particles of essential oil that are not heated at all. So you're not worried about changing the chemical composition, but it's going out into the air. Now, if you are in a dry climate, oh man, this is the best, right? Because it adds humidity to the air as well as the essential oil treatment. If you're living in a really humid environment, maybe not so great. Like I live in West Virginia and everything here is wet all the time. So no, I don't want to do that. Plus I have a cat, but the mist volcano is definitely a less expensive version. It's more expensive than heat, but it's less expensive than the last one, which is ultrasonic technology, right? So these are the ones that spas use because they don't have anything replaceable. You put the essential oil in a well, and it uses vibration to like create small tiny particles that go up into the air, right? And they're very small particles that you cannot see. And that diffuses the oil into the air. And these look very complicated. They're not really, but they have a lot of knobs and switches and stuff. They look very complicated and they are the most expensive. So it really depends on what your price point is, what you're trying to accomplish. Like I said, I was trained in botanical medicine and I used a cheap plug-in for my kid for the period of time that he had night terrors. And I just changed the pad and that was perfectly acceptable and it worked great. If you are going to be doing this long-term, or if you're doing this in a larger setting where you need it to go beyond like a single room, maybe investing in some more intense equipment is, more your speed. But yeah, again, don't diffuse in a home with cats, birds, or reptiles.
Excellent.
So do folks have questions maybe about what kind of botanical and what they might work for or anything like that? Because I'm happy to answer those questions too. No, really?
Well, Lily, this isn't a question, but it's a shared experience. I had something on my skin, and when I was seeing my general practitioner, I said, can you tell me what this is and how to heal it? And his response was tea tree oil. Mm-hmm. No education, no, you need to dilute it first. He said anytime he has a wound or, something that shows up on his skin, he uses tea tree oil. So I went out and bought some tea tree oil. First time I used it, undiluted, because I had no idea. And I ended up burning my skin. And then you did a session, and I'm like, oh, that's what I was doing differently. That's what I was doing wrong.
Yeah, I mean, you can get it at Trader Joe's, for crying out loud, right? And it doesn't say it on the package.
No.
Yeah, they are very corrosive and they cause chemical burns. Like, just because it's natural doesn't mean it can't harm you. And it just makes me so sad to see something that potentially healing being misused and harming people. So yeah, I dedicated a lot of time to spreading the message of essential oil safety and how to use them properly. And like I said, I use them. I don't use them as much as I use herbs, obviously as an herbalist, but I do use them. And I put them in lotions for fragrance, and I put them in salves to add phytochemicals. For example, in my fungus among us salve, right? It's an antifungal salve. I steep antifungal herbs in oil, and I add beeswax so that it becomes solidified, but I also add some antifungal essential oils to it. And then people can, poke it between their toes or whatever, however they're going to use the antifungal salve. But again, because I don't know, usually fungus is a located problem. So we're going to be able to do a higher concentration of, say, 5% on it, because nobody's going to put an antifungal salve over their whole body. First of all, the whole tin won't cover the whole body. But second of all, like, that is sad and you should go to the hospital. But, if you've got like fungus under your toenails or something, definitely 5% is totally appropriate. So I add it to salves like that. I don't use it, for example, in my breastfeeding salve, right? So if someone's breastfeeding and they've got sore and cracked nipples, like, I make a salve for that. And not only do I not put any essential oils in it, I only extract plants into it, but I don't even put vitamin E oil in, which is not good for babies to eat. So, I don't even put that in there. Like, it's a special salve that doesn't have any homogenizer in it, which is what vitamin E oil does in salve. You got to think about what's in your formula. Like, that's why medicine making is my favorite herbal activity, because I get to think about, okay, what am I going to put in my formula? Why should it be there? And then, like, how when you're a writer, you write a whole bunch and then you need to go back and you need to edit. The same thing is true for when you're formulating herbal remedies or medicine. You need to think about what could possibly go in there. And then you need to think about, like, okay, well, if I have more than 5 ingredients in a formula, I'm just diluting the effectiveness of each individual ingredient, because you're not going to get a whole lot of each thing, when you've got 20 things in there, right? So I try and keep my formulas simple and maximize the impact of them. So when is it appropriate to use this plant, this essential oil? What am I using to extract into? And can I extract into something that also adds to the medicinal value of the product? All of those things. It's a very fun, like, exercise for me. So that's my favorite part. But I do use essential oils in them, and they're the big guns.
And you had mentioned that if stored correctly, properly, that essential oils will last 5 to 10 years. If
Yes.
somebody were to, add 1 or 2% to lotion or oils that they do at home, will that last that long? Or once it's mixed, what's the shelf life for something like that?
It depends on the product they're mixed into, because anytime you have a liquid in a formula, like a lotion, it is prone to molding. Now, some things will help it from molding. Essential oils may help it from molding, or maybe you have a preservative in there of some sort. I use a ferment in mine. But eventually nature finds a way, right? Like nature will break things down. It's a natural cycle of life and decay. And you do not want to buy a lotion that looks exactly the same a year after you buy it. I will tell you that is a red flag. If your lotion didn't get all moldy in the year that you had it sitting in your humid bathroom, there is a chemical, well, I can't say it. There is a soup of nastiness in there that probably endocrine disrupting, probably carcinogenic. Most 99% of American body care products contain parabens, which are carcinogenic. I don't put that stuff in my lotion, which is why I have that lotion club, right? I was trying to find a way, because when I had my brick and mortar shop, people would come in and they would buy the lotion, and I would only sell it in month containers, right? So people would have to come back after a month, because that's about how long it lasts with the natural preservatives. But all of a sudden I'm an online store, and how do I sell lotions to people so that they're not buying the yucky lotion? Well, this is how I do it. I do it by pre-order. So people order it, and then on the 15th of every month I make it and ship it out, or they can subscribe to the club and they get it automatically, and I make a different one each month. But I tell people, like, this product will last you a month, and then after that you need to watch it, because it probably will mildew, and that is a natural process. So beware of that. But I don't want to put the parabens and the fungicides and all of that in the lotion, because you're getting it, right? You put it on your skin and you're absorbing that. We absorb 75 to 90% of what we put on our skin. You should be willing to eat it if you put it on your skin. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Even though probably lotion doesn't taste very good. Yeah.
Does anybody else have any other questions? If not, you do have Lily's contact information there on the slide. I did want to also share that in November on the 28th at 9 o'clock on Zoom, Lily will be doing the last session for 2024 or 2023. And it's the stress management and well-being. But we're very thrilled that Lily will continue the natural living workshops with us into 2024. She has a list of fabulous topics that she's already shared with me, so very excited. But we do have one more month. We will not meet in the month of December. So please plan to join us on November 28th for stress management and well-being. Again, thank you so much, Lily.
Yeah. No, I wanted to do that one this time of year because, the holidays can be very stressful. So I figured that was an appropriate topic for that time of year. And if you actually have topics that I have not yet covered that you would like to see me cover, let Darlene know, because I do repeat some, but I also like to offer new content. So definitely forward your suggestions to Darlene, and I will be finalizing my schedule very soon.
Well, thank you again, Lily.
Thanks, Lily. Thank you.